Okay, so these are 3 different pictures, but it has just a bunch of the vocabulary that you will see this unit. So this first one is a picture of things that you probably have already seen before, okay? You should be familiar with these words. And if you're like, I've forgotten what they are, you got a picture that tells you what they are. These are new words. These are new words. You may know what they are, but it's because you have learned them not from, something in school before. You probably learned them from outside of school. And the word tangent, we have seen that before today because it was in trig. But what a tangent line on a circle is this, and I'm going to give you like an acronym that help you. The tangent touches the circle, the secant slices through the circle. So the tangent touches the circle at 1 point. The secant, but if you notice, like a chord and a secant look a lot alike. The only difference is a secant is a line and a chord is a segment, and it ends at the endpoints of the circle. And then we're going to get into arcs and central angles and inscribed angles a lot over this unit. Like all of Wednesday, we're going to talk about central angles and what they do on circles. And then maybe next week before we get to inscribed angles. Let me look and see. Oh, no. I'm wrong. I'm thinking of my other class. So tomorrow is central angles. We're going to spend a whole day on inscribed angles. So we're just kind of talking about what things are. We're going to break it down a lot more as the weeks go. But let's do this first part here. So I'm going to go through this, and I'm going to name a few of these, and then I'm going to have you write them down through tangent line. And then we'll kind of do central angle, inscribed angle, these last 4 together. But I'll do a couple of these, and then I'm going to pause and have you write the things down for the rest of them. So we will do, the center is just going to be a point. Like, where's the center of the circle? What's it called? Who knows? Who wants to throw it out there? H. Beautiful. Yep. So the center is H. And then a chord, when you're naming a segment, so something that does not have arrows on the end, you're going to name it like this. The 2 endpoints, so like a chord would be AB with a little line over it. We talked about this, but it's been like since August, since we've really talked about this. We've talked about this a lot in August, and then you've seen it some throughout the year. But naming arcs and chords, or segments and lines and arcs, all of that is important. And then a secant, I'm going to go down here, skip down to secant, and then you're going to fill in these others. A secant is a line that slices through the circle. So this line slices through the circle. So we're going to call that BC, and then we're going to put a little line with arrows on top. So if it is a segment that, stops at the endpoints, then you draw it like that. If it's a line that goes on forever, you draw it like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is have you fill out diameter, radius, point of tangency, and tangent line, and then you're going to stop right here where this pin is. If some of these, you may have something different. So when I show it to you, don't just immediately erase, because yours could be correct, okay? The diameter, I wrote EB. If you wrote BE, that's correct as well, okay? But just make sure that the line on top does not have arrows, because it is just it has endpoints. It's just a segment. Okay, if you wrote the wrong thing, that's fine. But the only diameter is this in there. So the point of a diameter is it's like it goes across the circle at the widest point, at the very center. It has to go through the center of the circle. Okay. Also, if you called it HB, like that would be the radius. Like it has to be EB because it's named with the endpoints. All right. The radius, there's 3 different ones you could have written. I wrote HG, and there also could be backwards. You could write GH. You could have also written EH or HB. So if you wrote any of those, that's also correct. So I don't want you to erase it. It could be HG, it could be EH, it could be HB. Secant, we already talked about it. Point of tangency is E. It has to be E because that's where that tangent line touches the circle at 1 point. All right. And then the tangent line, there's different ways to name this. So if you wrote DF, fantastic. If you didn't have a line on top, change it. Make sure there's arrows on the end of it. You could have written DE or EF. It's just any 2 of the 3 points, DE and F. Okay? Makes sense, hopefully. All right, let's look at this. So one example of this, a central angle, you're going to put your little angle symbol, and then you're going to name it with 3 letters. The middle letter has to be H. So there's lots of different choices, but a central angle is in the center of the circle. So I'm going to write E, H, G. You could write G, H, E, but H has to be in the middle. You could also write G, H, B, or angle GHB. It could be either one, EHG or GHB. Inscribed angle. This one is a little trickier. So notice the difference, and I'll move this back down in a second. A central angle comes from the center of the circle. The inscribed angle is on the edge of the circle. It touches the outside of the circle. Inscribed angles touch the outside of the circle. All right. So this is on the outside of the circle. All right. So let's find one on here. There's actually, so B is on the outside of the circle, and there's many different angles that come from B. So I'm just going to write A, angle, A, B, E. That is an inscribed angle. But you could also say ABC. That would be fine. Or EBC. That's fine. But this is just an example of an inscribed angle. We'll talk a lot more about it on Wednesday. All right, and then minor arc and major arc, we're going to come back to this after we go to the next page. So turn to the next page. Things that are important. It's less than 180 degrees. All right, this is what an arc is. Minor arc. So if I'm giving you 120. So given angle BAC equals 120. So I'm just going to write this up here that this is given to you. Even though it's not on this, I'm giving this to you. This angle is 120. Central angles are congruent to the arcs that they open up to. This is going to come in handy tomorrow. We're going to talk about this extensively. So if you don't really understand it today, you will grasp it tomorrow. But we're going to write central angle here. All right, and then it's just important. It's equal to its central angle. It's less than 180 and equal to central angle. Those are the 2 important things about minor arcs that you need to know. All right. Major arcs. All right, did we get that? I don't want to move on too quickly, but major arcs named with 3 letters. We're almost done, y'all. You're doing good. With 3 letters. And you have to go in order. So start at B, then go to C, and then go to D, and then everything in between is that arc. So given angle BAD equals 120. All right, so if that's the case, this angle right here is 120 degrees. If I do like a donut in the parking lot with my car, which I would not, but some people would, how many degrees would a full circle be? 360 degrees, right? That's going to come in really handy. You're going to use it a lot, this unit. 360 degrees is the whole circle. If we take away, so like all of these degrees around this circle is 360, as well as all of the angle here, because they're the same, is 360. If we take away this 120, we are left with 240, and therefore this is 240 degrees. Okay? So the big arc is 240, and if you guys will just highlight this, its measure is greater than 180, and then it's also equal to its central angle. That's important as well. All right, just make sure you see that you're subtracting those to get that value. And then this last one, the central angle is equal to 180. Go get that. Remember how we do this. Start at G, go to H, go to F. Why does it have to be 3 letters? Because if you just say GF, which side are you talking about? Nobody knows. So that's why there needs to be 3 letters. I think it does allow, on delta, I think it allows arcs less than 180 degrees to be named with 3 letters. But you can just name them with 2, and that's fine as well. All right, let's go back to the page before. Now that we know what minor arcs and major arcs are, let's name a couple of them, and then we're done. There's lots of ones you can name. You can say AE is a minor arc, AB, BC, CG. It doesn't matter. You just have to pick one and name it. And just for funsies, I'm going to say BC and put a little arc on it. It's just make sure It makes sure you know how to name it, like what marks you need to have over it, the little arc. The major arc, it's kind of up to you, however you want to do it. I'm going to say G to A to B. That's a big arc right there. It starts at G, goes around to A, and then to B. And that is a minor arc that you can use.